Lil Meech, welcome to Vlad TV.
What's cracking, bro? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, man. Pleasure to finally meet you. I knew your dad a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And we'll get into that story a little bit later on. But like I'm looking at you and I'm thinking about when I met your dad, and it's such a similar kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they always say that's my twin.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course you got the braids like him and everything too.
Oh yeah, I had these since I was born. Oh, just a family tradition. 7 to the back.
That's what it is. So you were the only son of Big Meech.
Right, I'm the only son. I got 2 sisters though. They live in Detroit.
Okay. Are they older or younger than you?
Both of them are older than me. I'm the youngest.
Aha. Okay. How much older are your sisters?
My sister's almost 30. Both of them are almost 30. They're in their high 20s.
Okay, and you're what, 18?
Yeah, I'm be 18. I'm 18.
Okay. Because you were actually what, around 5 years old when your dad got locked up?
I was 6 going on 7. Probably just turned 7, but yeah, just turned 7.
So, kind of put me in the moment of, you got this dad, and, I guess at the time he was just like any other dad, right? You didn't really know who he was or what he was doing or anything. This was just your dad.
Right. I had no clue. Like I still when he went away, my mom told me that he was at that he went to a job interview or something like that. Like just went away for a job or something. So I still didn't have a clue when he went away, but I searched it up myself and actually went on Google and typed it in myself and found out for myself. But I just was always going places. I remember always just being with him everywhere, seeing nice things all the time since I was born. So I always knew that he was doing something. I mean, I don't know, it could have been anything. So I had a fun childhood, crazy childhood.
Okay, so when your dad was out, what were some of the craziest experiences you remember spending time with him?
Man, one time we was at this video shoot and we were in his Ferrari and I was in the passenger seat. He had got out to go do something, I think talk to somebody, and I jumped in the driver's seat and I tried to drive it. I tried to put the car and drive and try to take off. And he came and stopped me. He seen me. But yeah, we've been through, it's been a lot of crazy, great moments ever since I was little, ever since I could remember. We always been doing stuff. He always took me everywhere. We used to go to Disneyland when I was little, to LA all the time, or in Miami. We always traveled. I've been on the plane since I was born. It's just always been a blast.
Well, I mean, your dad didn't actually live with you, did he?
No, he did. He lived with me and my mom.
Oh, okay. Well, because I know that, your dad moved around, had multiple houses, all different types of places. So you guys actually all moved together?
Right. He had probably, more houses than I could count, but I remember we always used to be together. So him, me, my mom, and just, our other family, everybody that was with us daily. But yeah, we all stayed together. It doesn't matter if we went to Texas or his house or we were in Miami for the most part. But he used to move around a lot, and wherever I used to go with him, we used to go from Atlanta to Detroit to LA to everywhere.
I mean, I remember I interviewed Jeezy a while back, and I asked him to give me his craziest Big Meech story.
One time, hope I'm not gonna get in trouble for this shit. One time, this motherfucker called me and said, "Yo, Jeezy, we going to Cancun." I said, "Who, Meech?" "We." "Who the fuck is we?" "Everybody. Call everybody you know. I'm gonna call everybody I know." This motherfucker chartered a plane, not a jet, a fucking plane, and took 300 people to Cancun, Mexico. Every stripper in Atlanta, everybody who wanted to go, nobody was exempt, and we flew to Cancun on a fucking plane that he chartered, and the motherfuckers was serving Cristal on the plane, and fucking he didn't want to sit down. He didn't want to sit down, and he wanted to fly the plane. No, straight up. The pilot was like, "We're gonna turn around and go back to America if you guys don't sit down." And his whole thing is, "I paid for this motherfucker, I want to fly it." And everybody was on that flight. Juvenile, Bone Crusher, everybody can, Lil Jon, everybody you probably think of, and we went to Cancun, and this motherfucker bought the whole hotel. So every night we all get together, and probably like 300 of us, and walk to the club every night. But we went to the same fucking club every night. This shit called The City, and we all get together, 300 deep, all black t-shirts, and we walk to the club, and we had a fucking ball every night. You know what I'm saying? And it was crazy. But he took 300 people literally. And man, when I say that was the best time I ever had in my life, man, I mean, it was fucking crystal as far as you can see. You open up the refrigerator, you would damn near be blind, man. And it was just like, it was just whatever, man. That's the type of person he was, dog. Like, but one thing about him, you can never get the best party experience because this nigga party every day of his life. Like, I promise you, every fucking day. And if it wasn't nothing, he was gonna make it something.
Yeah, one of the big airline jets, yeah. Yeah, he
Yeah.
told me that story. I heard that story plenty of times, man. He brought over 100 people on that plane, and they went to Cancun. He paid for everything. They had a blast. I wish I was old enough to go on that trip. He told me that story plenty of times, though, man. He had crazy times.
Yeah, I mean, no one really does that. I mean, people will rent a private jet or they might buy a few first class tickets for their friends, but no one actually rents a 747.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so you're having the time of your life as a little kid.
Right.
You know, you're living with your dad, and your dad's got nice cars, and you know he's always partying and so forth. And then your dad gets sentenced, but your mom does not tell you what happens.
Right.
So explain to me kind of like how she told you and what started to go through your mind during that time.
Well, basically, like, I remember it was a day that my dad was leaving, and I remember asking my mom, like, where is he going? And she was like, oh, he's going out of town. And like, just for weeks on, I remember that he wasn't coming back home. I didn't see him, so I remember asking her, like, where is he? And she just always just told me that he's on a business trip or he's at work or something like that. And just one day, I just took it upon myself and went online and went on Google and typed in his name, and everything came up, the indictment, everything. So I seen it for myself, and I was completely shocked. But the first time me and her sat down, I brought it to her attention that I knew, and then we sat down and talked about it, and she told me everything, and that's when we went to go visit him in Detroit. And it was crazy. I mean, I didn't have a clue. Like I said, I just used to be with my dad all the time. We used to have so much fun. I wasn't thinking about none of that. That was the funnest part of my life. I don't think I could even have more fun than that.
So how old are you when you went on Google and looked up who your dad was?
And I was probably about 9 years old, 9 or 10.
At 9 years old.
Not even. No, not even. I had to be probably about 11, 10 or going on 11. Not
Okay.
9. Yeah, that was too young. Probably 10 going on 11.
You're not even a teenager yet. You're 11 years old, and here is your father, who you worship,
Right.
just like how every other little boy worships their dad. Especially having a dad that's so over the top, like your father is. And your mom, did she ever tell you what your dad did for a living or anything else like that?
No, not at all. No chance. She didn't tell me none of that. She told me he was on a business trip. She kept switching the story, though. I remember first he was on a business trip. Next he was on a job. Like he went to a job interview or something she told me.
Well, no, but I mean, before your dad actually got convicted, did you ever ask what your dad did for a living?
Oh, no. That wasn't even on my mind at all. I was just focused on having fun.
Okay. But 11 years old, you go on Google and suddenly you have this sea of information. You have videos, you have, newspaper articles, you have interviews, you have a whole bunch of stuff that suddenly is brand new to you.
Right.
How did you react? Did you cry? Did you laugh? What went through your head at that point?
When I got old enough to understand it, like at first, I remember just seeing him everywhere. But when I got old enough and I used to see like one of the I was in 2 videos, the one with Jeezy, him and Jeezy, on the Miss Me With That Rap with him and Boo. Miss Me With That Rap shit, we did that video. They did that video, I think was that Atlanta? I think it was in Atlanta. Oh, Miami, matter of fact, it was in Miami. And I was on top of the Phantom with his chain on. I remember that video, and I was in the other We Still Here video they did with everybody. That was a crazy video. I still remember that. But I remember seeing myself in those like, man, I didn't even know this was going on when it was happening. I didn't have a clue what was going on. Like, it was so big and everything. As I got older, I kept realizing like how big it actually was and how great of an impact this man had on everybody.
I spent a little bit of time with BMF. This was around 2004, I think. I had dropped this Tupac mixtape called Rap Phenomenon, which got really big, and Blue Da Vinci and them were fans of the mixtape. So they flew me and a bunch of other DJs out to Atlanta just to party with them. And at one point, I ended up at Meech's house. May have been, I guess your grandmother was there cooking. And it was a bunch of, I remember it was he had the white Ferrari, the white Ferrari you were talking about was in the garage.
Yeah, the drop top, yep.
Yeah, exactly, with the see-through engine, I think.
Yep, that's a Spider, yep.
Exactly. And I remember hanging out with all these guys, and they partied on a level I'd never seen before. And I remember seeing the World is BMF's
Billboard, yep.
billboards. There was like 3 of them, I think, around Atlanta.
Yeah, man, that was crazy. The stories still to this day, he tell me stories, like new stories I hear all the time. It's crazy. I still can't believe it.
Well, not only do you find out about your dad's background, but you also find out that he's not on a job interview. He got sentenced to 30 years.
Right. Yeah, I mean, at first it had me emotional, but I couldn't, like when I went to go see him for the first time while he was in Detroit, when he first got indicted, when I went to go see him, and he was behind the glass, I still remember he would just tell me, don't cry. But yeah, that was the first time I ever cried when I went to go see him. After that, every other time, I didn't cry every time. I just held it up. I just know he was gonna come home soon. He just
Yeah, I mean, you're how old when you see him behind glass? 11 years old?
When he first, that was when he first got indicted. So I was probably around 8, 9.
Okay. Oh, but you hadn't looked up what happened yet?
No, I didn't know what happened yet at all.
Okay, but you see your dad behind glass and you can't actually touch him. And
yeah, that's what made me look it up after I went to go see him.
Okay. So, I read the BMF book, the one that came out, and someone I know, Cavario, actually even did an interview with Big Meech in prison that we put out on Vlad TV. You know what I'm talking about? It's an audio interview.
I think I heard that one. Yeah, a couple years back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Were you close to your uncle, Southwest T?
I mean, a little bit. I seen him. He used to, come around a lot, or a little bit. I seen him. I just don't remember vividly being with him a lot. He used to be on the West Coast, so I seen him. I remember seeing him, but we weren't always together like that.
Well, the case is interesting because they didn't really catch Big Meech with anything.
At all, yeah.
Big Meech never talked on the phone, was never caught with any narcotics. There was really a bunch of circumstantial type stuff that got him locked up. And I remember clearly, because I remember I'd read about this, and I remember, your dad talked about this in the interview. He was talking about how
God really had his hand on me that whole time, and my brother. You know what I'm saying? I love him to death, man. Don't get me wrong. That's my brother. You know what I'm saying? And he stood strong, too. So, I mean, he had a beautiful life. I plenty of brothers that got killed. One brother living, the other brother dead. You know what I'm saying? Shit, me and him both enjoyed life. You know what I'm saying? He was a little more laid back, but he loved that phone. And that phone got us in trouble.
Yeah, my dad hated the phone. He never a phone person.
Right. But his brother, I guess, was in love with the phone, and the feds had recorded tons and tons of stuff on your uncle's phone, which then kind of caused the whole case to become what it was. People started to turn against each other, start testifying and so forth, and it just kind of became a big, a big thing. Your dad accepted, I guess, the plea deal to 30 years, right?
Right, right.
Because I guess there was a chance.
Yeah, if he would have
So
fought
I
it,
remember he described it.
right. There was a chance if he would have fought it, he could have got life, right.
Right, exactly. Yeah, if he would have blown trial, they would have given him life without any sort of possibility of parole. Whereas if he pleaded, he can get 30, and then he could try to work on it,
Right, yeah.
work on the case. You know, when you talked to your dad about that case and what went down, and you know, because I remember the one thing I noticed that was sort of interesting about BMF was the closeness and the camaraderie between everybody there.
Right.
You know, and I remember there was that one interview. You know, when you think about what you learned from your dad, how was he able to build a crew that big and have it last that long?
To be honest, man, it's just family, loyalty, and like he used to say, death before dishonor. Everybody was family. Everybody moved as one, like he said, and everybody was loyal to each other. It was just like that's like he said, nobody falls out over no girls. That's the last thing they were worried about. They shared them. It hit them all, like he said. So it's just, it's like he said, it had never happened again. I don't think it ever happened again. But to be honest, you just have to have, I guess you just have to have loyal people around you and people that just won't switch up for nothing. People that down the ride.
Well, he had a lot of very loyal people around him, but not everyone stayed
right.
loyal.
Not everyone, of course, not everyone, but everybody that was around, like really with us all the time, with him daily, they're definitely the ones that were loyal. So, you know, he had a good 11 around him every day. Besides, you know, it was hundreds on his case, but he had a good 11, 12 people around him daily. And those are the people that went with him everywhere, moved around with him all the time, 24/7. So those are the people that, just like him.
How do you feel about the people who testified against him?
He just had like it is what it is type of mood, you know. He don't have no regrets. He said he still live his life to the fullest, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember in that interview, they kind of brought up why at a certain point, you know, Meech didn't just take whatever money he had, move to an island, and call it a day.
If I was for self, I could have did that. I could have grabbed me a bunch of millions and been on somewhere where you can't be extradited. But that wasn't what I was out for. I've already played the illegal game to the fullest, so now I was trying to legitimize me and the whole family. I mean, I was 37 years old when I got picked up, so I was slowing down anyway as far as I was getting kind of tired. But when you the face of the family, that's the one thing that I was starting to learn. Even at 37 years old, even though I'm feeling old because I've been doing it so long, like I was getting kind of tired. You know me, I'm popping pills, smoking weed, drinking, and partying, freaking, getting money, got whips going up and down the road. You know, I'm doing everything to try to make this family successful, and everything we do look big. Everything we do gotta look big. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. It's just always, man, he just always was caring and do anything for anybody. He was just a loving person. That money was the last thing he was worrying about, you know, so he just wanted to have fun and ball. You only live once. You know, like he said, you can't take none of this with us. He can't take none of it with him to the grave, nothing. So live while you got a chance.
Your dad lived an incredible life, but then he gets sentenced to 30 years. When you talk to him now, does he have any regrets about the decisions he made, or does he fully accept how he lived and now where he is right now?
He fully accepts how he lived and where he is right now. I mean, he just, a few years ago, he just got out of the SMU program. He was in there for 3 years, 24-hour lockdown, barely any visits, none of that. So it was, now he's, you know, all the way, he got transferred from there to medium, and then, you know, he worked his way down to a low facility. So that lets you know he's coming home soon. But he just also wants to, you know, like not be put in a negative light. I'm basically the positive output of him, and he wants me to, explore the music industry, and with my rapping and producing and stuff like that.
Okay, because he got locked. He got sentenced in 2008, right?
Right. 2007.
He gets 2007. Sorry, he gets 30 years. How many years have been officially cut off right now?
About 58 months, or 68 months. I mean, 68 months. So that's about
that's
about
5 years.
Yeah, 5.5 years.
5.5 years. Okay, so now he's down to 24 or something.
Yeah, he's already served 13 years. So
okay.
Yeah, he got
And
indicted in
then-
2005, not 2007, 2005.
So slowly but surely, he's working his way
Right.
down.
Right.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. Now, people like me knew about Big Meech because I was really in the music industry, and I was around them and so forth. But up until a certain point, Big Meech was sort of this. Big Meech and BMF was sort of an underground kind of name until Rick Ross dropped the song BMF.
Right.
And I feel like, when he said, I think I'm Big Meech, suddenly the whole rest of the world got introduced to Meech. I mean, is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, that song definitely put him more out there than he already was. Yeah, that song was a hit. I still remember when it first came out. My first time ever hearing his name like that, so I went crazy when I first heard that.
Right, because you were how old at the time?
I don't even know. I was young, though, definitely. I was still in school. Just started school, probably.
Like, how did all the kids react when suddenly your dad is being mentioned in a hit song?
I used to go to school at American Heritage, a private school. So all the kids there were over wealthy and just, they weren't really listening to probably rap music like that. I had a lot of friends that were diverse races and stuff like that. So, I mean, at first, I was really not the only one, I can say, the only one that knew who Rick Ross was talking about. He was talking about my dad, but a lot of other people started noticing that was my dad as I got older, and as they started seeing me more in school and started hearing more about it, the name. But at first they weren't calling me Meech, so they didn't really know. I was still little, so I was getting called by my first name.
Okay. But then that song came out, and then I almost feel like it started a snowball in a way.
Right. Right.
Yeah, man. The kids start treating you a little bit differently?
I mean, not really. Just it was always cool to them. Like, I have a friend that his dad is a huge in the music industry and huge. Everybody looks up to him. Everybody says his name and stuff like that. So I mean, I always had friends that was on that level. But it was cool. They didn't really treat me any differently.
Well, I think you had mentioned on your IG that there's no such thing as a BMF member under 35.
Right. Yeah, it's just it's a lot of fake stuff going on. Like, a lot of people just trying to claim what they're not, and it's just I had to put it out there and state it for once that not everybody that say they BMF is BMF. Everybody say they family, not really family.
Well, I remember I interviewed was it Lil Mouse from Chicago a while back, and he was wearing a BMF chain.
Oh yeah, he's signed to one of my dad's homeboys. That used to be around a lot, so
Okay.
definitely family.
So that's a real BMF connection.
Yeah, that's definitely family.
Okay, but everyone else was claiming it?
Not everyone else, but it's a few out there.
Being that you're Big Meech's son, and you talked about how your dad wants you to use his experience to turn it into a positive, to
Right.
follow music, to follow legitimate businesses and so forth. Have you ever had people try to approach you and to try to have you do something like, this is Big Meech's son, this is the plug, let's go into this type of business together, and I know since that's your dad, we could do this, that, and the third, and potentially have you end up in the same type of position that your dad ended up in?
Oh no, not at all. I'm not going for it. I'm trying to definitely gonna be in a positive standpoint, positive view. You know, I'm repping for him, so I'm trying to everything to get him home and to get him home faster. So I'm doing everything in a positive light. He wants me to be in a positive light and not do anything in the streets at all that make me end up like him or where he is right now. So
only one thing, Vario, for real, you know, is I hate missing this time raising my son. You know, he was 5 when I left. Yeah, he was 5 when I left the street. Now he's 11. But you know what I'm saying? Because these are important years, especially for a young man. But his mama is doing a fine job with him. And one thing for sure, he'll never have to do the things that I've done. You know what I'm saying? But I would love to be there, you know, right now to raise him into a man. But I'm doing the best I can from prison. But it's nothing like being at home free with him, you know what I'm saying? You know, that's one thing, you know, that I would love. I just don't want, you know, I want him to benefit from the life that I've led and the friends and family that we all have, the bonds that I built, the ties that I built all over the world. I want him to benefit from that. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've done it for. That's whose turn it is to bar now. That's who I'm ready. I'm ready to watch him come up in Lambos and stuff. As long as that happened, I'm proud of everything. You know what I'm saying? My whole life. I'm not even mad about prison.
You know, I'm doing a lot right now. We got foundation coming out from hood to Hollywood that we're gonna give back. You know, help kids that are incarcerated. We help kids with incarcerated parents that are dealing with it, because, you know, I know how it feels. So we'll be giving tickets to basketball games, football games, rap concerts, anything such. So we're doing stuff like that, and, you know, I'm working on my production with making beats and rap. I'm rapping too now, so it's a lot in store. We got a lot of positive things coming out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's dope that your dad was able to, you know, put you in a position of going to private schools and growing up in areas that he didn't grow up in himself, so you wouldn't end up doing the same thing that he did just out of necessity or desperation. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
You know, because I mean, I remember I just interviewed Rollo, and he admitted himself that, you know, his dad was a drug kingpin, and then he became a drug kingpin.
What was his occupation?
His occupation was a kingpin drug dealer.
Mm-hmm.
He was a kingpin. He made a lot of money, but, you know, as you get 60, 70 years old, it just ain't no point in hustling like that no more.
Mm-hmm.
He was hustling all his life, so.
Do you think you followed in his footsteps, like, because he was a kingpin?
I mean, yes, I mean, because I was around the people, and all his clientele knew me as his son. So it was like, it almost chose you, and it just chose me, because they were just waiting for me to get some dope.
All the negatives that comes with it, you know, the violence, the shootings, the jail time, everything else like that. I think is dope that in your particular case, your dad shielded you and pushed you completely away from that.
Right, the complete opposite direction. Yeah, definitely.
50 Cent comes around at one point.
Yeah.
Tell me about this whole process, because now 50 Cent is working on a BMF. Is it a TV show?
Yes, it's a TV series. 50 and my dad they've been know each other from the streets, but now that how 50 did Power, BMF is just gonna be, you know, similar to that. Just gonna be in a TV series, so he's gonna do it like my whole the whole BMF story. You know, they're still getting the script and everything together, and, you know, my dad wants it to be perfect, so he's still talking to the writers and stuff, so everything could be perfect. But it's definitely gonna be a TV series. Everybody's gonna want to watch. It's gonna be crazy. So, you know, he's working on that.
So are you supposed to play Big Meech?
Yeah, I'll definitely have a role in it.
when you talk about having a role in the BMF series, do you just mean a role in general, or are you actually going to play Big Meech?
I'm gonna play my dad when he was younger. You know, the younger version of him, growing up in Detroit. So.
That's dope.
Right.
But they're still working out the script. You guys haven't started filming,
Right. They're still working on
casting,
the script.
any of that yet.
Right. You know, he wants everything perfect to be as accurate as possible of how they was out here really doing it. So they're still working on it.
Okay. And are you guys partners with the production, or?
Yes.
Dope.
Right. It's Randall
Dope.
Emmett and 50 Cent doing it.
Dope. I mean, you know, Power is one of those shows that everybody watches, and Power is all based on fictional characters. You know,
Yeah.
there's no Tommy, there's no Ghost. It's not based on anyone in particular.
Right.
I think it's going to be pretty amazing to actually see the BMF story
Yeah.
in a scripted show.
Yeah, it's gonna be 100% real, nothing fake, you know.
Yeah. So, what else is your dad doing while he's locked up?
Well, he been working out 24/7, man. This man probably he said he came in, when he got indicted, he was my weight, 170. Now this man probably about 240 now. Work out every day, man. He's huge. So, you know, he works out 24/7 in his spare time. He listen to music still. He always been a lover of music. So he listen to music 24/7, always putting me up on some stuff I don't even, you know, he be putting me up on some stuff he heard, some music he heard, stuff like that. Music just always been a topic of our conversation every time we talk.
Yeah, no, I remember that interview that Cavario did. Meech said that at the time that he got locked up, his mind was right, but his body wasn't right.
Right.
And after he got locked up, he got his body right.
Right, yep. Yep.
Right, because he was partying, he was doing whatever.
Yeah, crazy, yeah.
You know what I'm saying, during that time. But, you know, being in prison, you know, you gotta make do with what you have. So
Right.
he actually got everything together.
Yeah, definitely. Had to change his diet up quick.
No, absolutely, man. No, he really seemed like in that interview, he seemed like he was really in good spirits, and he seemed that he was really.
Yeah, he's always in good spirits, man. Nobody can, you know, drop his pride or stop him from feeling how you want to feel. He's always feeling good. He's always a good spirited person. He's always been that. So everybody just can't wait till he come home.
Oh yeah, no, it's gonna be a circus when Meech goes
Yeah,
home.
crazy.
So what else are you working on yourself?
Right now, I just started, you know, working on my rap career. I'm gonna drop a EP and a mixtape this summer. So I'm working on that, and I'm still working on, you know, making beats on my production part. So I'm doing both, and I'm working on acting. I got my acting lessons I've been going to. You know, so I got a lot of stuff going on right now.
So you're working on music right now. You got an EP coming out. What's the name of it?
The EP is gonna be called Lil Meech versus Lil Zah. You know, they used to call my dad Zah. He still do call him Zah. Only people close to him call him Zah. You gotta actually know that he was called Zah to be called him Zah. So, I mean, he got that name from Joey Zaza, you know, from The Godfather, the Corleones. Yeah, because he always, you know, him and Joey are similar. You know, they both had that alter ego. Joey liked to party a lot and stuff like that. My dad loved to party. And they both, you know, super gangster.
So who's on the EP?
I'm working with a lot of people. 808 Mafia, shout out Southside, shout out Sam Sneak, Young Dolph, Lil Baby, Shy Glizzy, a bunch of people. So
What it is, man. I'm sure a lot of people are giving you free features and free beats just because of who your dad is.
yeah, you know, I get shown a lot of love. Shout out my Uncle E-Class. You know, he been helping me get in the studio and stuff, and really, you know, been helping me a lot. So shout out him, and everybody watch out for my mixtape and EP coming out this summer.
Yeah, well, listen, man, take the acting thing seriously, because I remember how much it was a disappointment for everybody when Eazy-E's son wasn't in the NWA movie.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm not exactly sure what happened, but apparently they thought that his acting ability wasn't what they were looking for at the time. And they ended up having to use a different character for Eazy-E when I thought that, I mean, Little Easy looks just like him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like Ice Cube's son was in the movie, but Eazy-E's son was not. So, you
Right.
know,
Yeah, that's crazy.
go all out with that acting lessons thing, man, because
Definitely.
that's a role you do not want to miss out on.
At all. I know.
Yeah, man. Well, Lil Meech, man, it was a pleasure talking to you. I have a lot of respect for your dad. Like I said, you know, we got to hang out that one time, but they flew me out and showed me an amount of love that I didn't get at that point. You know, that no one had shown me at that point, man.
Right.
It was a very exceptional crew of people, man. And you know, I was definitely very sad to hear how it all ended up kind of going down at one point. But
Right.
you know, me and Blue Da Vinci, I've interviewed him after the fact, you know, after he got out, you know, and it seemed like everyone still has a lot of love and respect for Meech.
Right, yep. It's forever, you know.
That's what it is, forever, man. Until next time.
All right, bet.